Hey guys, it's Chauncey from Good Music to Know, and today on Session Stories, we're joined by singer, songwriter, and producer Analise, blending dreamy and atmospheric production that feels both intimate and immersive. Across her recent releases, Limrance, I've Never Smoked, and Big Man, she explores relationships, identity, and self-discovery, and we're so stoked to have her here, so welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Recently, it feels like more and more people are discovering what you've been creating, so has there been a particular moment where you stopped and thought, okay, this is like really connecting with people now?
Yeah, I mean, I had like a little, my first burst on TikTok experience a few years ago. And that was really interesting because it was like, I've always had like such a sweet support system with my family and my friends supporting my music. And I'm from New Hampshire, so I don't know if you know where that is. It's a little coast in the north, but yeah, not many people here did music at all. So like it was a very creative town, but like I literally would just make classes for myself in my high school by the end of it. And I was going in rooms with my guitar and calling it some kind of songwriting self-taught course because I'm like, there was nothing really there for me.
Yeah.
So I do think that for a while, it was very personal connections to my music of like my teacher would love it or my classmate would love it. And it was so cool because it was so one-on-one and so deep. But then kind of seeing how like when you do put something online, how it can kind of just flutter off into the ether and connect with so many people, so many ages, so many different places. It's so wild. And that was definitely the first experience of it that I was like, even my Instagram, like there were so many people that I knew on there, but definitely getting past that point more into the internet abyss. I feel like that was so interesting to connect with and really expanded my viewpoint of like what I see for myself and the lack of ceiling for my music. The connection is why I make music. I definitely start at a point of making it for myself in a therapeutic way, but getting to feel the connection and getting to give somebody the wording that they were looking for is totally why I do it, and getting to do that for as many people as possible is definitely the goal. So it's super cool.
And I actually discovered your music, I think it was through Instagram. No, was it through Instagram or me researching? I don't know. I listen to music all day long. But
I know, I can imagine.
my first entry point like into your music was I Never Smoked. And I was like, oh my God, this song is so good. Like it was so good. The visuals were good. It was amazing. And I love how it like beautifully captures that bittersweet space between like holding on and letting go. So
Yeah.
at what point in the creative process, like, do you know when you've like successfully captured the feeling of a song that it's like supposed to leave behind?
For that song specifically, I don't know, it's interesting. I always like to think that like, especially there's a whole lifeline between when I make the song and it lives in my little voice memos and then when I put the production with the music videos, because I definitely I go all out with everything. That's how my brain works. I'm like, once I start to think, it has two phases. I'm like, it's the phase that it lives in my bedroom and with my friends or my songwriting buddies, and then I totally take it by storm and like blow it into this whole like, then the music video has this and fire and all this stuff. That's the fun of it for me as well. But I think that in the writing process, if that's like the point to go through, like, I don't know, I think the part of love that I love to write about the most are the ones that you can't really define as much. And
Next question.
Really? Okay, well, I'm gonna get myself. Okay, maybe let's slow down. But yeah, I think I'll sneak peek that. But that's my favorite area to talk about. So once I know that a song is like struck that point, it honestly, like, my writing process is very fast and very intuitive. I would say, like, I honestly have gotten to the point, I mean, I've been writing since I was like in middle school now, and I am addicted to it. I'm like currently sitting on a pile of like over 250 favorite songs from the past few years. It's like problematic. It's like so bad. But it's like I just write all the time, and especially when it's like my way of emoting or kind of marking either things that have happened or relationships I've had and feelings that are new. It's kind of been my diary along the way to know when like a song is done or when I've hit that point. It like, honestly, I write them very fast and I let them be what they are. I'm like, okay, I just said what I felt and that's it. Like, I'm not one to really go back much and revise unless I'm really writing for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
But like really, I kind of just let it be like, okay, that was the cry I need to get out. And like, that was the emotion and it's on paper now and it's a song. So it's cool. But yeah, I think like I've Never Smoked was one that I was like, wow, I hit exactly what I was feeling in a weird way that felt like a really great release, kind of like what you said. It was kind of like on point. But
And I mean, you kind of already answered this, but I was going to say a lot of artists write about like falling in love, but your recent singles seem to be more interested in like what happens when love becomes tangled up with like expectations or dependency or control. So what draws you to exploring those more complicated sides of human connection?
I've always been writing more on that side than the latter. I don't know why. I had to make a point early on of like, okay, sit down and write a love song. And like let me write something happy. And it's so funny because I'm such like, if you meet me in person, I am a very overly optimistic and peppy person that like to the point that it's problematic. Some people, they're like, how is she this happy? Like, it can't be real. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's just how I wake up. It's always been how I wake up since I was a kid. But when it comes to my writing, I kind of take this like deep dive into this different area of my introspective self. And I think that when it comes to love, first of all, like I don't agree with people who say like there are too many love songs or too many people are writing about love, because to me, like, love is the most intimate form of knowing someone ever. Like, that's the closest you're ever gonna get, like maybe besides your mom. But like, you fall for them completely and you get to know every inch of that person. And even if it's like a shorter relationship or a longer one, it's such a cool way of learning about yourself and seeing your love reflected in somebody else, and what you can make happen and the feelings you can make happen in someone else, and the feelings someone else can make happen in you that surprise you. Like, all of it is such a great lesson for yourself. I feel like I've learned so much about myself through love and through loving other people, whether it be friendships or relationships. And so I've always been on the love bandwagon. I'm like, we're writing about love. Like, that's the best thing to write about. And it's just kind of what habitually I always go to. I guess maybe it's the age group I'm in and the time period we're in. But I think like I've always made a point to write very honestly. And I get fictional sometimes, but I try not to stray too far from like my truth and what I know is like on the ground right now. And love is really weird right now. Like, relationships are really weird right now. And it's not anymore this like, oh, I'm so in love and oh, I'm heartbroken. It's not these like binary sides. Like, it's the weirdest spectrum of confusion and like feelings and weirdness. That's all, like, the only word I can use is that it's weird. I feel like love in Gen Z, whatever, is just kind of weird. It's a lot of ambiguity. It's a lot of like not saying how you feel. And that's really hard to go through when, like, personally, I'm somebody who I say everything that I feel and I feel everything on my chest. Like, that's like how I go through life. So I think if anything, like, I'm kind of fascinated by it. Like, and I think that's kind of why, like, I've written so much about it, especially like in the past few years. Like, all of my songs have kind of been about that weird, like, push and pull, or a lot of them. And I think especially like the first two of these last three, Limrance and I've Never Smoked, are totally falling within that category of like, it's not necessarily heartbreak. It's kind of a weird mix of like yearning and disappointment and like frustration, and like all of that is bound into one, which I honestly feel like, knowing myself and knowing the people around me, like, those are some of the most relatable feelings right now in the love business. But I
think listening to your music, it definitely feels very cathartic because, like you said, you tend to not delve so deep into fantasy, so it does feel like you're listening to someone's diary, and they're often feelings that you can relate to, so it definitely makes the song hit that much harder.
Thank you. It's a hope.
And I loved Big Man. So it feels like if you look at all the three singles together, I think Big Man feels like a turning point with these recent releases. There's like confidence and resistance, and like that's constantly running through the track. So who is the big man to you, and what inspired the song?
Yeah, it's actually a good little story. Yeah, the Big Man is definitely my favorite release thus far, I think, because in opposition of writing a lot of love songs, I also write a lot about myself and my journey and my music, because at the end of the day, that is what is everything to me and all I live and breathe and think about and do. And I think this song was one of the first to like really encapsulate it perfectly in a way that then I kind of stepped back and I was like, okay, that's exactly about what I feel. But also, like, you could relate about this. You could relate about this. Like, I felt like there were so many other little outlets. Like, I remember showing my mom, and she was like, oh, it's about this for her. And I was like, oh, that's so cool because it's totally not for me. So I kind of feel like, especially for women, everybody has their big man, you know? Everybody has somebody that's kind of talking down on them or putting them down or kind of dousing those beliefs or those dreams. The way that the song came about for me, it was in the vein of the music industry and kind of thinking of the music industry as that quote unquote big man. But it's funny, I had a mentor at the time that I told you I have so many songs that I'm sitting on, and I'm like, if I could release a song every day, I would. I'm like, it's my favorite. I love the music videos, I love everything, but especially in this like weird oversaturated time and in trying to like break a kind of ceiling, you want to be super meticulous, you want to be patient, take your time, let things simmer. That's a lesson I've been learning. So I'm like, okay. So I went to my mentor about a year ago and I asked him, I was like, okay, here are 8 songs that I think are like the next best songs I should release. Like, which ones do you think? And he listened to them. He's like, yeah, these are great. And he's like, but because I'm kind of a writing nerd, like I told you I write all the time. He was like, I want to know what you would do if you wrote for the purpose of like your next best song, like for the purpose of the industry right now, like the purpose of like what would be a little bit catchier, a little bit of a broader appeal instead of just my emotional come tos, you know? And I was like, oh, okay, like fine, write more songs. That's the perfect solution. So then I went home and I wrote another 8 songs within that week. And there was actually, this is a crazy fun fact that I don't think I've said or posted anywhere, but all of the 3 songs that I released this year, I wrote in one day.
What?
I wrote them in one day. It's a little crazy, you know, but I wrote them in a Sunday and I wrote a few other ones too. But I hit a groove and I was like, okay, I've never smoked. Boom. Love that. Limrance, bam. And it's like a song chunk, I like to say. Like I probably wrote the first verse and chorus, if not the whole thing. But I wrote a good amount of it and got that bass down. And then I was like, okay, I was only at like 4 songs and I wanted to write 8 more. I had a long day of writing all these songs for this purpose of like finding the perfect song, whatever. And then I kind of picked up my guitar and I was like, the big man told me to sing. And I was kind of like being funny. Like I have the original voice memo and I just kind of freestyled the whole first verse of like all these little things that kind of talking about my mentor about how he told me to rewrite them, like write it again or like try something else. And I was like, oh, like this guy told me to do this. And then I walked away and I was like, okay, it's not about him. Like that was good, tough love, but like about the industry, like what are we even doing here? Trying to find this like perfect ammo and all this stuff to be something that I already am, you know? So it kind of then flowed naturally, but yeah.
Even though it's 3 songs, it kind of feels like a micro. It can be like a mini micro EP in regards to like the different topics that you cover. So start with Limrance, and that's more in this kind of like infatuation phase. Then we go to I've Never Smoked, and that's more of a maybe recognition that it's not the best situation for you to be in. And then we finally get to Big Man, which is like, you're here, you're confident, you're putting yourself out there. So even though it's 3 songs, it's nice that you can still feel that journey.
Yeah.
To those singles in a row. It's a nice little, you know, peaks and flows that you go on. So that's really the production of Limerence, I've Never Smoked, and Big Man. So I listened to all your stuff, by the way. I went all the way back to the beginning.
Wow.
These 3 songs feel noticeably like fuller and more expansive in sound. So was there anything in particular that contributed to the evolution of the sound and production on these newer tracks?
Like I released 2 covers at the end of 2025 of 2 songs that were fully self-produced in my little bedroom, like my normal way. But for these songs with that original point of like really wanting to make songs that I gave time to sit and I really gave intention to and patience with and like really took the time to give them that quality that they deserved because I have so much quantity. Sometimes those can toggle in between, but I really wanted to focus on the quality for these. And so I really did lean into the amazing collaborations I do have in my life. And I worked with this amazing producer, Juno Room. He's a producer and artist in New York. And I met him, sent him the songs, and we totally collaborated on the first 2. He's brilliant. I've Never Smoked and Limrance were both produced by him. And then I produced Big Man with my dear friend Mason Anliker in Boston. And that was kind of like one of our first songs, honestly, that we worked on together. But it was a big one for me. And I was like, I want to make sure this one is like comfy and as close to me producing it myself, but also including the brilliant minds of my friends because they are awesome. So getting those touches and including my bandmates as well. I have my guitarist, Sebastian Stinnett. He's genius, absolutely genius. And he's also my best friend. So getting his little trickles into the songs, like especially in I've Never Smoked, like there's all these little hidden lines and Easter eggs that add to that full feeling, you know? And I've spent a lot of time the past few years really building out that team and that community and solidifying it to be people who are kind of telepathic with me and like who we're all on the same page, so much so that even if I sent it to them and they added it and sent it back, like we know what we're doing. And I think as much as I love working by myself, working with other people will, no matter what, make it stronger and fuller and more humanly great. Like it's really great. Yeah.
Which parts of your artistry are you most excited to keep developing as you continue to grow as an artist?
I think my voice, that was like one of the main things that kind of stuck out to me in my last few performances with singing these songs live. I think like my voice was the root of like 5-year-old Analise, where it all started was just like the fact that I couldn't stop singing. And I took that super seriously for the good first portion of my life, just singing all the time, singing whatever I could from R&B, soul to pop to everything. And even though I've found this perfect little corner of my music, I do think incorporating that and bringing that stronger full frontal voice that even I would argue like Big Man, even though it's not vocally that difficult to sing, it still has kind of that my true core voice involved in it. So I think just continuing to bring that power to it, I'm excited for it. But yeah.
What can we expect for the rest of 2025? An EP, any additional releases, maybe an album?
In the vein of all the songs that I have. My main goal for the rest of this year is just to externalize as much as possible. And so I've been working on building out records out of as many of my songs as I can, so then I can post online and share them with people and lead to a big project that is going to round out this year. So I'm very, very excited. But I just want to show I got a lot of songs and I think a lot of stories that people could connect with and a lot of feelings that I would hope to pinpoint for people. So I think just sharing as many as possible is the goal. So the trifecta was kind of my opening, and especially putting the whole, I just released the music video where they're all seamless and kind of putting that into a cool, beautiful bundle. It was a great way to start off the year, but I really just kind of wanted it to open the doors to just showing everything I got.
Yeah, I think those were the main questions I had for you, but are there any final words that you would like to leave your fans and the listeners with?
Anybody who is already listening and already supporting and a part, I just always want to say thank you. I think it's the coolest thing to know that people care and connect with things that started in my little world and in my little bedrooms. It's so cool to know. But especially for anybody who finds me here, I think there's a lot more coming. So hop on in and we'll enjoy the ride together. It's going to be great.